Okay, so I'm gonna try to do something a little bit different today. I am trying to build this deck, Niko Light of Hope, with Ether Drift cards. So I'm gonna go through some of the cards I got from the pre-release, like the limited pre-release tournament that I did, where I came in like last essentially, and I can tell you a little bit about that. I also am going to decide if I'm going to play this precon the like out of the box and then just kind of modify it, or if I'm going to maybe take my Niko Light of Hope idea and combine these, or maybe or maybe break this apart and make other decks out of it. So I have a bunch of blue cards that I was thinking about using specifically for a Jin Cataxias deck. I bought this card. I'm really happy that I have it. I really like Jin Cataxias actually, and I think that that is a cracked ability, but I'm thinking about it and I'm kind of like, what if instead of making a deck with Jin Cataxias and just making mono blue, what if he's part of the 99 of Niko Light of Hope? Because then as I blink this card, I get to do it twice. So if I get this out and then this is out afterwards, I get to blink him twice, and then I get to make more shard tokens, you know? And then I have a bunch of like blue cards and Azorius cards here. I have another Jin Cataxias. He's just hanging out. And the idea was to take these two and then build with Ether Drift cards. If Niko Light of Hope can make the shards creatures, that means that those creatures would also have exhaust abilities, which means if I had enough mana, I could turn on all of those exhaust abilities on those shard creatures, and then the shards go away and then the creature comes back and then I can exhaust it again, because it's all just these ETB abilities, you know? So when I went to the Ether Drift limited release, there was this tournament that you got to play. Oh, I also have an Ether Spark. Thank you to my friend Dan for giving it to me for my birthday. I also have this wrapped up speed demon that I'm not sure what to do with. So the idea of like the Ether Drift limited pre-release was to build a deck, and out of like the cards that you got from this box, it was like six pre-wrapped things. And it turns out that I am not very good at making limited decks. What I did was I was looking in colors that I wanted to play, and I ended up building around this. So I had a Simic deck, and I had this idea where I had these, I had a lot of counters that I never got to play them, and I had blockers, I had walls. And then I was actually able to win a round like that, like a game, because like this deck just really popped off. But it turns out that building around an uncommon is actually not that good of an idea. So when I did my second round, which is like the round that like eliminated me, because I picked these colors, I picked green and blue, and it turns out red and white were kind of what I wanted to be in, because I had this card that I could have built around. Instead, I just don't really build red. So I was looking at the red and I was like, I don't know how I want to do this. And there's also black in here. I didn't realize that you could play in limited. You weren't limited by your colors. It wasn't like you had to pick colors and stick with them, because it's not like you have a commander that you're building around. And I left so much on the table here. Like, hang on. I had Chandra's Spark Hunter in my limited pool, and I ended up not using it because I was like, oh, when I build this deck, when I activate an exhaust ability, I get to create Thopters. So I had a bunch of like exhaust abilities in here, and I thought it was a good idea. And the first time, the first game that I played, it actually went pretty well. The only reason why I lost the first round was because I messed up. Like the mana wasn't coming out right. I had all of this green and I kept looking at him. I'm like, if I get one blue, like, you're done. And it was actually a really close game. And then the second game, it was like, I actually beat him like pretty soundly. And then the third game was another like long drawn out slog. But again, it just came down to like being mana flooded and all of that. So then the second game, I play this and I lose very handily. I think the guy I was playing against came in like 15th or something out of like 40 something. So then he's like, hey, why don't you build green and blue? Like, this is a very, like, the limited had a lot of good red. So I showed him all of the cards that I had, and then he built me this deck, like, just out of nowhere, and he built it around this. So what I learned was I'm not very good at playing limited, and Ether Spark isn't really very good at limited to begin with. Like, this is a very commander-focused set, you know? That was a little bit about the tournament where I got all these like limited cards. But this brings us back to Niko Light of Hope. So I have a lot of cards in here that I can pull out in blue and in white where I can make cards, where I can have cards like blink in and out, you know? It would be like my third deck that I'm building, and the Elesh Norn deck is still in progress, so I need to figure that out as well. And I'm also not sure if I should play Niko and Jin-Gitaxias and then Elesh Norn as 3 separate decks, or if I break down my Elesh Norn deck and then build Elesh Norn and Jin-Gitaxias as 99s in Niko Light of Hope. And then my legendary Elesh Norns and Jin-Gitaxias copies could then be used to like enforce and reinforce Niko as he makes all these shards. And then as he blinks in and out, if Elesh Norn is on the field, he gets to go twice. And if like he would get to blink twice because of Jin-Gitaxias, and then he would get the ETB effects twice as well. So that would be like what? 8 shards? 8 shards every time? That's incredible. I don't even know if you can see the cards the way that I'm holding them. So I have like a lot of blue things here. So I have a lot of blue things. I have blue artifacts. I have blue creatures. Ooh, this would be really awesome if I get this onto the field and then I get to like untap all my lands. That could be really fun. There's just a lot of different things in here. This could be like an artifact creature thing because Jin-Gitaxias and Elesh Norn, they have overlap with the artifacts. So this would be an artifacty kind of spells slingy deck with some permanence, which could be really fun. I'm really excited to put this together. Sorry if I sound super sick. I actually am pretty sick still. I've been sick for the last like couple weeks. If you've been waiting for me to put up fanfic chapters, I can't do it right now because I'm super sick, but I am working on it, I promise. And then I have this pre-con, and I don't know if I have time to go through all that today, but I am gonna open it. Because I am very excited to play. I got a collector, I didn't even open those, hang on. Now you get to watch me open it. So this one has Vigilance and Menashe. When this creature enters, other creatures you control get +2. Okay, that's pretty cool. Damage can't be prevented. That's pretty cool. And then when this creature enters, target creature. Okay, crew 1. These are really cool cards. I'm not really a Gruul player, but these are really pretty. So now you have to like build the boxes, and that feels shitty just because the old commander decks, my Azuri Claw of Progress deck was an old precon that has been just heavily modified. So I didn't know you had to like build the boxes now. That feels crappy. So I'm not sure if I want to play this as like its own precon, or if I want to do like a zombie deck. And because what would be really interesting is that the thing that Niko and Jin-Gitaxias and Elesh Norn all have in common is that they're all these colors. And then I could add black, which would be the speed demon. That would be wild. And oh, the Scarab God, hell yeah. I don't know if I'm just thinking a little bit too big, because I'm trying to figure out what all of these cards have in common. And what Jinkataxius and Elishnorn and Niko would have is artifacts and artifact creatures. And I could throw this in as well. But what this is like drawing and discarding and looting. Like I don't think this deck would work like this deck. So yeah, just to sum up, this is the deck that I'm planning to build. This is either its own deck or a card in this 99. And if I put this in the 99, Jinkataxius, my Elishnorn deck might get broken down and turned into a Niko Light of Hope deck. And then if I'm being particularly ambitious, I could figure out how to make all of those cards work in this deck as well, which like to modify it, which could be pretty interesting. I just don't know how I would begin to do that. So that is my idea, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon. Have a good day.